We'll just give you a brief overview of the tutorials for pillar and what we offer and how we go about it. But we really want, once you're done with that, to get your views, questions, comments, feedback, etc. Which was the main aim of what you were aiming to get out of this session. I'll just maybe start by giving you a quick overview of the Actuarial Academy of East Africa. It's now been around for a few years. It was set up with a vision to support actuarial education, support sort of actuarial professional development and such, particularly around East Africa, hence the EA name. It's been around for a couple of years, and this is one of the pillars. The tutorials pillar is one of the core pillars of the academy. There's three main pillars: a tutorials pillar, a mentorship pillar, and the university support pillar. For the tutorials pillar, we mostly focus on exams. At present, our focus has been on preparing students to write and successfully pass the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries exams, but there is sort of ongoing work behind the scenes to expand that to other bodies that offer actuarial exams, such as the Society of East Africa. What we typically offer, we run our tutorials for 3 months towards an exam session. So we'll normally run 2 sessions a year in the lead up to the April/early May exams, and then in the lead up to the September/early October exams. In terms of what the academy provides, or as a value proposition, you get 24/7 access to a variety of resources, including videos, tutorial recordings, and we try as much as possible to personalize the learning process because we appreciate that every student is different to the other, and people will learn optimally quite differently. We are accredited by the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries as education providers, which is a mark of quality and just indicates that we have met their minimum criteria. The other thing that this offers, obviously, the study process can be a lonely journey, but in joining or taking up tutorials with us, you do get access to study buddies who would be fellow students enrolled in the program, and you never really are alone in that process, and that really helps. The other 2 pillars, which I'll not go into a lot of detail on, but I will highlight what they cover. There's a mentorship pillar, and this is particularly aimed to this particularly looks to sort of the professional growth aspect that I mentioned early on. It's mainly or primarily focused on early to mid-level entrance. It's career support. You get a 6-month mentorship program with someone who has a lot more experience than you do. And it's largely aimed at bridging that gap between completing education, basically academia, and then getting into the work environment. And we do know that a lot of people struggle with that early on transition, but also just getting into the rigors of studying plus working, and also just learning the corporate world, which can be very different to what you've experienced in school. And that transition can be quite challenging for a lot. And this pillar aims to bridge that gap and to offer that one-to-one mentorship that helps you get a lot more comfortable, grow in your career, determine where you want your career to go, etc. The third pillar that we have is university support. This is aimed at this effectively works with universities and students at universities, and the main aim is just to shape the future of actuarial science in terms of quality, exposing students to what's happening in the industry, such that by the time they leave university, they're not completely green and lost. The other thing that it does is facilitating exchange of knowledge and experience on various aspects of actuarial practice, areas of practice, and actuarial work. Yeah, that's in a nutshell what the Actuarial Academy of East Africa covers. I will hand over to Mercy to just cover the tutorials pillar in a bit more detail.
Thank you, Asaph. And so if you kindly just go to the next slide. So we'll just provide an overview of the tutorial program. So I'll go through the goals of the program and also what we offer. So in terms of our main goal, and I think Asaph has already, just touched on these. Our main goal is to assist students through their actuarial qualification journey. And we appreciate that these will look very different from student to student. So, like our tutorial program would be quite tailored to the needs of our students. So overall, the goal is just to, just handhold you during your qualification journey. And I think like one thing we always just try and emphasize is the tutorials are, like they go side by side with their personal studies. And the good thing is you'll be joining a cohort of students who are doing the same exact exam that you're going through. And I'll come into, the buddy program in detail. So the program just helps bring students who, are sort of like going through the same exam at the same time, which is such a plus because, as we mentioned, the exams can be quite lonely. So just having people to, team up with, study with can be quite useful. And the goal is to help you prepare for and complete your exams efficiently and effectively. So there's the exam material, but you have to be really, you have to really know how to, because I think like if you've looked at the material, it's just like lots and lots of notes. So what the tutorial program will help you, the help of your tutors, is just to find a way to first just efficiently go through your notes and also identify the bulk topics, the problem area topics, and put more focus on those because, sort of like come up with a winning and passing strategy. And that leads us to the third goal of the program, which is the focus is mostly on addressing the key problem areas in the different courses that we offer. So again, the aim is not to, go through the course material end to end. Our goal is to really just help with those, like those very difficult areas and the bulky topics. So it's all about efficiency and coming up with a winning strategy as opposed to just like, like going through the material blindly. And most importantly, you also get some training in your exam techniques, which I think is super important. Covering the notes is one thing, but just like having the right techniques, and our tutors are well experienced in the respective subjects they tutor. And we also have some mentoring sessions, and you'll get to speak to qualified actuaries or student actuaries who've gone ahead of you. So again, like you'll just get some study techniques and exam techniques along the way. Then in terms of what we offer, so currently we offer CS1 and CM1 as part of the standard program. And based on demands, we offer other subjects. So we have, I think, CS2, SA2. So the rest of the subjects are on a demand basis. But as part of our standard program, we offer the CS1 and CM1, which are the initial exams that most students would be taking. In terms of like the frequency of the program, so the sessions are held twice a week, and the students will have access to the tutors over a 3-month period. And Brian will just take us through a sample, not a sample, like the schedule for the September intake. So over the 3 months, you already have specific things that we'll be doing, over the first month, the second month. Specifically in the third month, the students will get a chance to be supervised doing their mock exams, and you'll also get assessments from your tutors, which I think is another plus of the program, because then like you'll get feedback on how you are, just measuring up compared to what the exam really expects of you. So it's well structured. There's sufficient exposure to the tutors and their fellow students over the 3-month period, which I think is a plus of our program. The other thing we introduced during the April sessions was a group mentoring session where we invited qualified actuaries. We also invited Jenna to just speak through their qualification experience, which I think was super important, because then like you get to hear from people who've gone ahead of you. You get to see that this thing is actually doable, and you just get to hear like different qualification journeys, because I always believe that as long as you have that goal to qualify as an actuary, you'll have your unique journey, but at the end of the day will all qualify as actuaries. So I think you'll just like get different perspectives and just like, you know, pick one or two things from people who've gone ahead of you. Then, as I mentioned, the tutors during the 3rd month of the program, the tutors will supervise some mock exams and also just give feedback and, you know, just help identify the areas that are, you know, likely to like if you put more effort in those areas, if you have any weak areas at that point, then you're likely to, you know, like pass the exam. So you'll get a chance to sit up to 3 mock exams and, you know, like just get feedback on those. We also provide some study material, and as Asaph mentioned, you'll have 24/7 access to the material. The tutorials are always recorded, so if you miss a session for one reason or another, you'll still have access to the material. And the final offer is the buddy program. So you'll be joining a cohort of students who are sitting the same exam. So you'll get a chance to just buddy up and be each other's accountability partner, which I think I found was quite it was quite a pivotal thing in my own qualification journey. And I remember at one point there's an exam. So one of the sitting, I needed to do an exam, and I realized I didn't have any other person in my circle who was doing that exam. And I actually opted to just register for some other paper, because for me, just having like people around you who are doing a similar exam makes the whole difference, because then you'd, you know, like either like do the past exam papers and just like mark for each other, or you'd be able to discuss, like have your discussions for any problem area topics. So I think that's a plus for the program, because then you'll be joining other students who are sitting the same exam. So I'll now hand over to our tutors, who will take us into a little more detail on how they run the program.
So one of the things we have usually done is, the way we usually take it, one is to come up with the topics that we carry a lot of marks, and two, we also come up with the topics that we feel will be challenging to the students. Number two, we usually have a session where we tend to discuss with the students in terms of the expectations and any other topics that they might think they have issue with, apart from the topics that we have listed. Then once we have actually done that, then we have some tutorial sessions. So these particular tutorial sessions, we do cover the topics that we have really come up with. So we also have the list of topics currently, but we can add into that list. So once we have actually covered those topics, we do some few exercise after every topic to really find out the understanding of the students or based on those particular topics. And if there's other things to work on before before we move to another topic, we are free to always give further guidance. Then once we are done with those that particular area, we go to the main area whereby we do mock exams. So why mock exams? So they are, apart from understanding the knowledge and understanding the paper, it's good to have exams technique to actually pass your exams. And these exams techniques, they only come in handy when you do practice them. And our aim is mainly 1.5 months to pretty much cover the first part of the topics, and the 1.5 months for exams, mock exams, doing mock exams, marking mock exams, and actually revising them. And as you know, we have both practical exams and we have both theory exams and the software-based exams. For CM1, we do have Excel, and for CS1, we do have R. So basically, we will also take you through the same, on various topics listed, we will also take you through the software that they are done on. And also, we will also give you some techniques to actually do them. Because based on our experience, we have also learned a bit of challenges that students do face on those software. So basically on CS1, these are the main backbone of CS1. So CS1 is mainly to understand your statistical knowledge. So first of all, you have to understand the probability theories. Then once you have understood the probability theory, you have to understand the distributions that we do have. And then once you have understood the distributions, these distributions needs to apply to some various scenarios. Then you come to learn about regression analysis and finally Bayesian statistics. So these are the main topics that we do cover, but we are happy to bring in anything that you may also have. So next slide. So about CM1 course structure and CS1 course structure, it is the same. So mainly let's go to the topics. So CS1, CM1, I look at it basically on two ways. So currently CM1 is slightly huge because it was a combination of two papers, which is a combination of former CT1 and CT5. CM1 is mainly understanding your cash flows. So where part one of the CM1 we talk about certain cash flows, and part two we talk about contingent cash flows. I think the other things that mainly we really cover we will talk of how best can you type your papers, because I know most of us, also in our region, we were born with pen and paper, and that's how we grew. And when we got at this stage, we are now being told that we have to actually type our papers. So that is one of the key adaptations that we have to actually do. We have to adapt to that new norm.
The key aspect that we focus on is not necessarily the coursework. I think we generally encourage students to go through that in their own time. The key aspects that we focus on are getting you exam ready, which is around how do you answer questions, what are the sort of difficult, we focus on the difficult aspects of the course. As with every exam, there's sort of areas that people will generally not struggle with, and then there are areas that that students will generally struggle with, and also where the bulk of marks also tends to sit in exams. So that's what we focused on, getting you exam ready, not necessarily getting you to understand the coursework. I think we assume that students are doing that in their own time. It's just these other sort of value adds or additions that help you to actually pass the exam. How do you type, making you a lot more efficient in terms of how you type, getting you ready for the Excel and the R bits, helping you sort of figure out how to answer questions in a way that's efficient and what the examiners would generally be looking for. That is what we focus on. I'll hand over to Jenna. Thank you. I'll hand over to Jenna, who has been one of our students. Just to take us through her experience with the academy and what worked and just her overall experience.
All
Can
right.
hear you now. Thanks
Hi,
a lot.
everyone. Yeah, so I think everything I'm going to say basically is a summary of what everyone has said, what the tutors have said, and what our pillar heads have said. These tutorials are very much an addition to what you do as an individual, right? And so I think many of us come thinking that the tutorials will be everything. There'll be all the preparation that we need. But tutorials, just to emphasize this, right? Tutorials will always just be a plus to your own individual effort. And so for me, the Academy's tutorials have really come in handy. My first time using them was for my CS1 paper last April. And then it was basically a crash course, and I needed to put in both the time individually, because even in the tutorials, even if the teachers took me through all the content that I had, I probably wouldn't pass the papers if I couldn't apply the information, right? So this is just to say that as individuals, we'll still be required to play our part, to put in the effort we're required to put in, and everything else the tutorials will add on. They'll build on the knowledge that you've gotten. They'll help you apply, see how best to apply, see how best to make use of what has been given to you, how best to type quickly, how best to finish this paper, right? And so the Academy's tutorials, basically we definitely have tutors. Leon is one of them. He has been my tutor in the subjects I have done, and they'll carry out sessions during the week. I believe, according to the students program, days can be chosen where these sessions can be carried out, right? After that, I believe for students who are unavailable during the week, during the session times, tutorials, recordings can be offered to the students who need them. And also, we did receive tests after every topic. We did receive mock exams to test that you'd actually understood what you were doing. And in addition to that, these tests just ensured that you were able to apply. We had not simply run through a session, but would be able to use the knowledge there. And so our tutors, despite testing us, also went ahead to make sure that if a student had failed, they'd maybe address the issues of which topics had gone wrong, what could you have not understood there, how could we make it better for you, and in that way we would move on. Now, I believe you've seen the topics that were being emphasized upon, right? And so with tutorials, there probably may not be time to cover so many topics, especially for now, like CM1, where they've mentioned that there's a combination of 2 papers in one, right? So for 28 chapters, there may not be enough time to go through every single topic that will come. However, because you have probably put in some time before the tutorials commence, key topics that have become a challenge or proved to need help for people to better understand will be actually gone through. Questions will be asked, and for those that have not had that much time for people to run through them, those topics would have us just get tests and exams through them so that we'd actually make sure even that content has been addressed and dealt with, and you as a student, you're comfortable with them, right? Yes, and Leon did mention that he'd always be available for the students, and I testified to that. Every single time I was doing a number and I felt like I was stuck, I didn't know what to do, I was struggling, I'd always reach out to him, and he was always available to help me, always available to help me think another way that I probably needed to think, right? Could you please go to the next slide? Yes, and in addition to that, I just wanted to add that while content coverage is key, I believe there's very many people who may just want us to go through every single topic, right? Simple classroom setting like we used to do in school. But content coverage is one thing, right? For these papers, let it be SOA or I4A, covering the content is one thing. Being able to actually put this content to life, to apply it, is the actual subject of this matter, right? And so I'll just say again that exam preparation really needed us to practice, and the academy did that for us properly. Our tutors were always in for, send me that mock exam by Monday. Yeah, please do this over the weekend. Have a few numbers, try this number. They were always going out and beyond to make sure that we had practiced and were able to apply every little thing that we had to do, every little thing that we had run through in class, everything that was a hindrance, you get. And in addition to that, I'll just say that our tutors actually went out of their way to help us understand that our students were different, right? So because we're different, there's no one way, one correct way for everyone, right? And with our own different understandings of how things were done, they guided us into ways of making this paper easier for us. How could you maybe complete your paper faster with the way you do things as you as an individual? How could you, for example, I believe a number of us are more comfortable doing calculations using a calculator. And so with, for example, in CM1, yes, CM1 where we use Excel, if we're doing if we have paper B in Excel, how could we transfer our knowledge of that Excel to even help us do our paper A at a faster rate, rather than doing these calculations on a calculator where you could have data entry issues, where so many things could go wrong because of a calculator. Can we do this in Excel so that we can track back, so that we can actually get these answers faster with more ease? They did just make sure at the end of the day, we were all in a position to actually sit this paper confidently and do it to our best, right? So if you are here today in the academy, if you're wondering if this is a good place to start at, I'll encourage you and tell you that this could be a good place for you. But I'll also still encourage you to put in your work, do your best, and your papers will actually be your best. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jenna. Yeah, I think we'll just quickly walk you through how we typically structure this over the 3 months that we spoke about. This will sort of be our second last or so slide. We will take questions after that, but if you have any questions you'd want to type out, you can start typing it out in the chat section or the Q&A section, and then we'll address them once you're done with the slides. Brian, over to you.
Thank you, Asaph. So I'll run you through the timeline. We started our registration way back, that was on 21st March, where we put out the LinkedIn posts to let the public know that we've started registration. So our registration deadline will be on 4th June, and we will as well have our enrollment deadline, because we would want to have students that we are going to really work with throughout the journey. Our tutorials are scheduled to commence on 10th June. That's immediately after the enrollment stops. And on 17th June, that's when we have I4 closing its registration. So during the months, we will as well help remind students to register. In case a student is taking 2 papers come September, we remind them to register, or in case they need help with the registration, we as well reach out and help. Then as well, we will have on 13th July, on 8th to 26th July, we will as well now remind students to pay for the exam, because that's when exams are paid. And we will as well have our first tutorial mentorship session on 28th June. And we will have our first CS1 and CM1 mock exam on 22nd June. On 13th July, we will have our CS1 and CM1 second mock exam. In the period while tutorials are going on, we usually have 2 mock exams for both subjects. And our second tutorial mentorship session, where I recall one of the pillar heads talked about, we bring in qualified actuaries and they talk to our students and boost their morale towards exams. And on the whole month of August, we usually give students mock exams. So it simply means that that's going to be a month of self-study and a month of doing mock exams under I4 guidelines. And then on 9th September, that's when I4 exams will start, and probably we will have our tutorials end as well. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. Yeah, so that's sort of what we've covered in a nutshell. I think we just wanted you to we wanted to give you an overview of how we structure this, the value add, and how you'd benefit from signing up with the Academy. Brian has given you sort of a program in terms of how we structure it. As you can see, we work towards very specific dates, and therefore we encourage early registration so that we can get this going and all move at the same pace. What we've noticed at times is some students only decide a bit later, they come in late. Yes, the tutorials will be available because they are pre-recorded, but there are things that one might miss. So for example, if you've missed one of the mock exams, then you've missed a good opportunity for someone to assess how you answer questions, that kind of thing. You might have missed a mentorship session, and during that session, important things or important information might have been shared. So we generally encourage early registration so that we all start at the same time and run through the process together, and that maximizes or at least improves your chances of success, which is what we're all aiming towards. Yeah, thanks a lot. As I also said, there's other things that we offer through other pillars. So for example, the mentorship and the university support, reach out. We have a page. There's also a lot of information that's shared via LinkedIn. One can access this kind of information or what or relevant information that they might be looking for via those channels. I want to open up the floor to questions. Yeah, so just feel free to come off mute and ask a question, but also I'm happy to, for those that prefer typing, to just type any questions that they might have in the Q&A